to the chat as we go. And thank you all again for joining us today. So let me go ahead and begin just by saying that we have done a lot of what I think is really great work on bringing the Galileo infrastructure into the 21st century. Credit to Mike White for leading our development team in redesigning the Galileo backend. Some of you I know, just seeing names, have attended Mike's sessions on Galileo admin, which will make it a lot easier to update and change things in Galileo. We've also worked to add some customizations for libraries, and I'll share those with you, which I think are wonderful, and we'll be working. We've moved into a mode of continuous improvement. You all know that Galileo kind of sat and didn't get a lot of improvement or attention for years and years. Our backend infrastructure really hadn't been improved in our front end, massively since about 2014. So it was more than time. So we're glad to be able to introduce a first product here that we find we're very proud of. And then ongoing, we'll be making continuous improvements, and we love feedback. I'll make sure to share with you guys at the end of the session, where you can leave feedback directly on the redesign itself. We're already getting some good feedback. Like, we don't have a true A to Z list, and we've already decided that that's something that we can't go without, even though we've introduced a nice concept in the database search, which I'll share with you all in a few minutes. People have already been telling us, I really rely on that A to Z list. I really like to be able to browse alphabetically, and we respect that and understand that. So we've already started making plans to move in that direction, for example. But continuous improvement is the name of the game going forward with Galileo, and we look forward to your input and feedback as we do that going forward in the future. So just very quickly, an agenda here for you. We'll talk about logging in the new Galileo Wayfinder on the Galileo portal. We'll talk about navigation. Just generally, I'll be going through various aspects of navigating in the new Galileo page. You'll find that there's a lot of parallels to the previous Galileo site. In our first phase, we were really focused on redesigning the back end, and we did some improvements to the front end, but we will continue, as I mentioned, to make those improvements. So you'll see a lot of parallels. You might kind of fish around for, hey, where did that go? And I'll be sure to kind of hit on where everything is now that you might be used to finding on the Galileo page if it's in an ever so slightly different place. We'll be looking at the database search and the spotlight, which are two new features that we have in Galileo. Database lists, how those work, how those look, and some of the improvements we made logistically. So for example, you'll notice when you go into Galileo now, and for actually a while now, back I think in late May or early June, we made this change. We took out a lot of those teeny tiny Digital Library of Georgia collections. We're going to let the Digital Library of Georgia drive that traffic going forward. The major portals in Digital Library of Georgia, like the newspapers and other things, and the main DLG portal are still there in Galileo, but those were just created a lot of information. And then the other thing is, we didn't have all of them. There are over 900 collections now from different institutions and different places and different data sets that are in DLG. So that was just a very logical change. We couldn't keep up with the amount of collections that they had, and we were getting the clutter of those giant lists in Galileo. So that's a good win-win for everyone. Support, we've made some minor changes to our support pages, but we've made a lot of really good improvements to the FAQs. Mike, Ken, Joy Woodson, our marketing person, and I really spent a lot of time editing, updating, changing, removing a lot of the FAQs that were older, so that we have really cleaned that up and made it much nicer, and it should improve your overall FAQ experience. And then I'll talk a little bit about our tools, about Galileo tools, where you may have been used to going and finding things like our stats, our governance pages, and other things. And I'll make sure that you see clearly how we've arranged that, where all of that lives. And I'll speak specifically about tools and training. I've done some short videos. They are not the equal of the great videos that Ken Hensley created for us a few years ago, but there are a few short videos on the Galileo search portal that will help you and your students to navigate as you go forward. And I'll point out where you can access those. And also that we have a new LibGuide that we've dedicated to training that'll be used to kind of put up any training that we do in an ongoing way. Obviously, I've just put the first wave of our training sessions in, and we'll be continuing to add training sessions on the new portal going forward. And I'll also be posting the recordings there, in addition to sending you all your recordings and slide decks via email. I'll be putting them on that training page also. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing here. Again, I will primarily just rely on sharing my browser for now, so that we can just see everything live and in real time. I think that's a lot better than looking at boring old slides. So in just a minute, you should be seeing my browser. And Mike has been doing a great job of helping me out by letting me know that he can see my browser at this time.
And I can.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So here on the main Galileo page, the URL has remained the same. It's just galileo.usg.edu. We have first and foremost added a way to manage the new authentication system that we have, Open Athens, for a lot of our libraries that have already adopted that. So we have basically the ability to route to individual institutions' Galileo password screens or your single sign-on screen in the Wayfinder. So the Wayfinder is here. It's divided out so that you can search all institutions at once. Or if you're in a college or university, obviously you all are, you can go ahead and find your single sign-on page. And I'll demonstrate that directly in just a moment. One of the nice things that we've added here, say for example, I am a student at Athens Tech, Carol, and I also maybe am taking a class or working with a faculty member at UGA libraries for some reason or the other. And I'm enrolled, or maybe I'm an early enrollee in public schools at Athens Tech, which I know is something that's a common scenario. And I also want to access my K-12 Galileo resources, which are different. So what we've done here is as you log into different institutions through the Wayfinder, it saves your recent selections. For me, you see the libraries that I've been working to help on the support side in the last few days, Columbia Theological Seminary, Atlanta University Center, and you also see I'm affiliated with the University System Office. So that's how I'll show you how you can log in just a moment. And I'll do both scenarios. I'll log in with a Galileo password and I'll log in with a single sign-on option. Since most of you utilize single sign-on, I'll show you that option. I'm going to pop over to colleges and universities, and I log in through the University System Office. So once I select that, oh, of course, it's going to give me an error, which may be related to, let me clear my cache and cookies just to make sure. I'm going to try that again. Remember continuous improvement. So we may be experiencing issues right now as various improvements are made, but bear with me. That's why we have backup slides. Back to universities. So that is erroring out right now. I apologize. Let me try one more example. I may not be able to complete the transaction. But yes, it's routing me appropriately to the Athens Tech single sign-on screen where I could, if I had credentials, obviously log in and access Galileo resources from Athens Tech. So the other example is if I'm logging into my public library, I go ahead and click my public library here. You see after I cleared my cache and cookies, the options went away at the bottom. But I can go ahead now. If obviously I am affiliated with the Athens Clarke County Library. We've also added all the library branches here. But in this case, it should route directly to the Athens Clarke County Library Galileo password screen in an ideal world. It might be pushing some updates this morning, so bear with me. There it is. So now it's gone ahead and given me the option to log in via the Galileo password for Athens Clarke County. I go ahead and enter that password, and I have accessed the full Galileo portal. Going to log out just to make sure that I'm showing my demo in academic libraries here, and we'll go through more in just a minute. But just some other things just to point out here. One thing that we added is we were able to add this really nice what's new functionality you see at the top right of the screen. And what that will do is it will step you through kind of everything that I just did here with the Galileo Wayfinder. So the what's new is just a little script that we put in here to help users as they first begin to use the new version of Galileo. So we go here and you see that it's telling me to search for your institution, go to the login screen, and then it's telling me if you know your password already, you can go ahead and enter your password here. And I can exit out of this anytime by just clicking on the skip button. And there are more of these when you're actually logged into Galileo, which I'm going to go ahead and do now. I was going to do it through my University System Office login, but I'll go ahead and use UGA since I know their password. And now I'm in the main Galileo portal site. So just the same here, the what's new functionality, I'll go ahead and click on that. It tells me that the Discover search is still here for me for searching kind of all the Galileo content or most of the Galileo content at one time. I can search for articles, ebooks, newspapers, video. We were sure to add the advanced search here so that we were making sure that we pointed that out for people who wanted to begin to limit their search right away. We have rearranged the databases by subject and put them kind of here. We have our subjects, and I'll go ahead and talk through this in just a few minutes, but just showing you here initially that you have all of these different options. The all databases option, the all journals option is still there. Again, if you're in a public university or TCSG, that's going to route you to your ALMA list of databases. If you're in a private academic institutions, it'll route you to your EBSCO list of publications.
Hey, Russell.
Yep.
We had a question come in. If you could slow down a little bit, I think
Sure.
that the your screen share is maybe a little slow for some people. That it's
Okay.
you're not what they're seeing is not fully lining up with what you're going over.
Thank you for that comment, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me know and being bold about that, folks. So slowing down here, just going back a little bit in case we missed anything. The main thing I wanted to show right now, and I will go back and go through everything a little bit more slowly too, is the what's new application so that you can see that we've just designed this as a way for new users or users who are landing on the Galileo search page for the first time since we made the changes so that they can go here and easily step through in this little tutorial what changes we have made. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and talk through some specific changes and as we continue to go through the new site. We did want to make sure that login options were here. We know that most academic institutions have moved to Open Athens, but we do know that sometimes the password option is still necessary. So we have the password. We're also in transition, so we try to make sure that everyone can access via that Galileo password if they know it right now. Another thing that I wanted to point out about the login screen, one of the things that you don't see here that you saw in the past is a guest user login, and that used to live just kind of somewhere on the login page. And what we've done, we still want to account for users from out of state or users that don't have immediate access or people that are interested in specifically Georgia resources. So what we've done is we've added a guest user LibGuide that contains all those free resources so that users can access those easily, like the Digital Library of Georgia and other things. And just as an example, if I won't do the login example, if you get a failed login, you can it'll point you to that, or if you go into the support area. I just wanted to show you also that we spent, as I mentioned, we spent substantial time on our FAQs, and I can search for guest, and I have here added the FAQ. I used to be able to log into Galileo as a guest. Can I still access resources like the Digital Library of Georgia and the New Georgia Encyclopedia? And so we've spent substantial time updating this and created a resource guide for our guests, which I'll share with you now. So this is what we've done there. It's just a good guide to the basic local resources like the Digital Library of Georgia, the newspapers, the encyclopedias, Georgia government publications, other things, many of which are still listed in Galileo, but we wanted to make sure that those free resources were easily accessed. Also have some additional resources here, things like our Affordable Learning Georgia Textbook Initiative, our Georgia Knowledge Repository, and just making sure that those commonly used resources, while they are listed in Galileo, we wanted to make sure that, given that they were open resources, that users who may be accessing from out of state still had quick and easy access to those resources. So backing up here, I'm going to go back to the Galileo main page. Just another means of navigation. Just remember always the Galileo in the left-hand corner, depending on the type of page you're on, will either take you back to the portal or take you back to the About pages. I was in the About pages just now, so it took me back there. Backing up here. So just we've done a lot to account for various ways to log in, and hopefully that is clear for everyone. Any questions about logging in? Any questions that have come up since I've gone through just the basics of the Wayfinder pages and navigation, Mike?
I was just responding to a question that came in that relating to the guest access libguide. The question was, can you access this through support? And I was going to explain that there's not a direct link on the support page, that main page, but there is a link within the FAQ, and then you can also bookmark that once you access it. So yeah, it's not a main link directly from the support page, but there is a link to it within the FAQ relating to guest access.
And just to be clear, that those FAQs and the About pages are absolutely available without being logged into Galileo as well. So, and it may be a good idea, and we'll think about, we've been kind of thinking through the guest user option and the best place to kind of put those options. The problem was in the past, people would hit that guest login and then they would be confused that they were logged into everything when really they were just accessing any of the free and open resources that we made available. So we've got a lot of support requests around that took a lot of time to respond to and to clarify. So we wanted to make sure that we accounted for that and that we made that less confusing for users who might be trying to access some resources. So going forward here, let's go ahead and take a look here. Again, I'm going to go back and log into Galileo Search just so we can continue to our review of features. As mentioned previously, the search is the same as it ever was. One thing that we did move away from with academic institutions and our public libraries was having the multiple views option with our K-12 views, our middle school view, and other things. We always had the question, well, is this worth continuing to support for our education students? And there's some back and forth on that still, and we may decide going forward to change this back, but we did, just given the time of development that it takes to make those multiple views, we left those views available to K-12 institutions, but we decided, at least with our initial release, not to have those different views. But we do have some options, and I'll show you when you get to the database search, to limit to resources that could be used, for example, by high schoolers who might be visiting your library. I'll share that with you when we look at the database search. But again, the EDS search, we just are using the single profile here that is whatever is designated for your institution, your academic institution. The advanced search is the same as it was previously. So that functionality, again, I mentioned there'll be a lot of parallel functionality. A lot of functionality has remained essentially the same. Let me go ahead and move into the databases by subject area. This has changed a bit. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that one of the things that people have been asking us about right away is, why isn't there an A to Z list? And essentially there is an A to Z list, which I'll share with you in a minute, although it's not a true A to Z list with easy breakdown of resources listed alphabetically, but I'll show you what I mean shortly. So we have our databases by subject. I can view all subjects alphabetically, just just by clicking on this View All Subjects option, at least in theory. Let me reload my page and see what's going on there. Come on. There it goes. So it opens the subject list in a new modal window, and you see it lists them A to Z. I can also have them sort numerically. So if you want to know just quickly, what subjects I have the most resources on, if I do that numerical sort, it'll tell me that. In this case, it's UGA and its history. I'll go back to my A to Z sort. You see that it doesn't list all the subjects, obviously, on a single page, but I can browse here and go from various subjects. So if I was interested in genealogy resources, I can go ahead and click on genealogy, and any resource listed under that subject is listed here. Once I'm in the database search page, one bug that we're having right now is if you redo your search right now, it will search everything and just present a list of everything. So you'll need to go back to the main page to search right now. We're working to get that resolved quickly. But we've also got now all of these different facets and options that you can explore once you've gotten your database list. So it kind of tells you all the different subjects these databases that are tied to genealogy also fall under, so you can narrow and get a more detailed list or a different list if you're wanting to explore a different area. You can sort the database list by relevance or by name, and you can increase the number of resources that you see on a page up to 100 resources. So that's the databases by subject. Going back now, I also have the databases by type, and in just a second I'll talk a little bit about how we came up with the subjects and the databases by type and some of the reasoning that we used for that. There was a lot of aggregating and mapping done here. I'm going to go ahead and look at the types just like I did with the subjects. We have the list. Again, an A to Z or a numerical sort is an option. So if I'm looking for biographies, or if I'm looking specifically for encyclopedias in this case, I can go through and look at the different things that are classified here at UGA as encyclopedias. So when it came to planning for and implementing a new subject structure, one of the continual complaints that we had from users in the Galileo community was there were far too many subjects and far too many detailed subjects, and it was complicated, and it was not necessarily classified in a way that was very user-friendly. So what we did as the basis of our subject lists, it's now the EDS, the EBSCO Discovery Service subjects, with some modifications, obviously, to account for local resources. The databases by the type is much the same. Over the years, they had really morphed and changed, and there were repeats, and we had to go through and sort of map some things to make sure that we, for example, we had biographies. There were 4 or 5 different ways that biographies, same with books and ebooks and book reviews. These are not permanent. If you have feedback on how we can do the databases by type or databases by subject, any improvements or any metadata suggestions that you have, we welcome those. One of the things that we will probably do as we continue to evolve and do continuous improvement on Galileo is we will work to make these better. We will probably engage things like like some of our cataloging committees and our metadata experts, and get some feedback and think about how this can be, again, both simplified and account for different things. One of the things that we have done is, and let me go ahead and show you this, is we've added a Galileo database search, so that a user can, instead of just having to browse to the databases, we've created there's always been a database search there, but what we've done is much more powerful, and we've included it here on the Galileo main page. So here on the database search, I can search by subject, type, or name, and these will also also pick up keywords and full text from the database names. So for example, if I came here and I'm a student and I'm looking for a medicine resources or medical resources, I search medicine, I click search, and it's going to provide me a list of the resources that are specific to medicine for UGA eventually. It's running a little slow today. Mike, do you have any updates or reasons why we might? I'm just curious if, because it was running really quick yesterday.
I haven't seen anything.
There's various code pushes that I'm sure are happening right now that might be. So there's my list of databases that relate specifically to medicine. I won't go deep into this, but just know that we have made changes that make it much easier to do the branding pieces that you see, the funded by UGA libraries here and the logo on the right. For those of you who are interested in updating your branding, if you haven't already, get with Mike via the support list. He can talk with you about your options for admin training, where you can learn everything you need to do to add your local resources. One of the things that we heard about a lot pre redesign was that the database list was a bit cluttered. It was kind of run all together. There wasn't a lot of white space. It wasn't easy to read. There was too much text. So what we did is we cleaned those lists up a lot so that they display a lot better, a lot cleaner. But there's always access to additional information. One of the things that we did is we made this much simpler, and then we had done this with the previous iteration of Galileo. We added an easier access to the Express link for librarians. One of the things that we did take away, but that you can still access via Galileo admin, is that full list of Express links in a CSV file. That is now available via Galileo admin, or if you need it at any point before you get Galileo admin training, Mike would be more than happy, or any of us would be more than happy to generate that list for you and send it to you. Just send us a support ticket. But right now, if I wanted to get access to that Express link, that direct link to a resource that prevents me from having to go through the Galileo portal to access it, I just click on the Express link button. I can copy that, and then I can put it wherever I like on my library's website. So that is, very, very easy and much simpler than in the past. I can click on the More button here, and obviously that's going to give me more information on popular medicine in America. It's going to put that Express link front and center. And then another new feature that we've added here in the database list is tools. If I'm browsing around the library and I say, oh, well, I want to make sure that I access this later, and I want to send the Express link to myself as a student or a faculty member or what have you, I can email it to myself now. Or I can send a text message to myself with that database, which is great functionality. If I want to SMS it to myself, I just pop in my phone number, select my carrier, and away it goes. Now, the large majority of providers are listed here, but if you, for whatever reason, get a complaint from a user that their provider isn't there, we can probably add it. Just send us a support ticket and we'll let the development team know. But that should cover 99.9% of all SMS phone users, mobile companies. So I'm going to go back to the search page here. I can always go back or start over from various places. And do note that I can, again, look at the different types of databases that I have and the types. These additional facets that we have here, I think, are a huge improvement, or I can browse the subjects as well. Going back to the Galileo main page here, after doing the database search, I wanted to point out that we've also added an all databases. Again, this is essentially an A to Z list. One of the things that we're probably going to do fairly soon, we need to do some thinking and planning and development around a release for this, but we will likely add an A to Z facet here to make it easy to toggle between resources in an A to Z fashion. But this is just alphabetical. You see 21st century psychology comes up first for UGA, so it goes numerical first. And I can always sort these by relevance, and I can also browse by a wider page wherever I happen to be. I keep going back to the main page. I did mention that we have that minor bug there in the Galileo database search. Another thing I mentioned earlier, if I have a high schooler who comes to UGA, we've assigned some resources to a high school tag. We've tagged them with high school. So even though we don't have those views, UGA has a fair number of resources that high schoolers can use. So they've been tagged for use, and it tops up very first by relevance with Explorer for high school, which is a great resource for high schoolers to use to find articles. So that is one way that we've created a different functionality that does some of the same things that you might need to do with those different views. And I just wanted to point that out. I'm logged in as UGA, so the all journals list, if I want to see all my publications at once, in this case, it'll route me to Ex Libris Alma's A to Z list. So I can see the A to Z list for UGA, and I can also do a journal search. This is the same functionality that you're used to using. It's just been located there right below the database search screen. Finally, talk a little bit about in the Spotlight area. This is the area that we've added that is customizable. And again, I will say, I know I saw some names. I know some of you have been in training and saw how to do this already, and you may already be updating your in the Spotlight areas. We have included defaults here, and I have, these are the defaults that we've listed for academic institutions, Academic Search Complete, eBook Central, some of the most commonly used resources, probably with an undergraduate tint to it, but just making it easier to find those resources that are commonly used. What's great about the In the Spotlight area is that you can use it for anything. It doesn't have to be a Galileo resource. There are some image requirements and some description length requirements that Mike will review with you when you do the admin training. But primarily, we designed this so that you could have a customizable area. You know, if you wanted to add a specific LibGuide or a series of LibGuides here, you can do that. It's pretty simple, easy to override the default and add a new resource here for your institution. So we wanted to, again, create an opportunity to provide quick and easy access to commonly used resources for our libraries so that they're front and center. The about information is essentially the same as it was in the past. This is not yet customizable by the institution, but we hope that perhaps in the future we can make it customizable by the institution. That is one of the things on our wish list going forward. And many of you are used to accessing the Galileo embedded search box via the little embed link right here. Aesthetically, this was distracting and it often caused problems. People didn't know exactly what it was. So we wanted to relocate it somewhere on the page that wasn't cumbersome, but that was easy to access for librarians and that also included the custom code for your institution. So if I want to embed the Galileo search box, or if you need that search code to add it to a new LibGuide or a new page, if you click on embedding a Galileo search box, it has that code right there available and already preset to work for your institution. So the system alerts, and I'll go into support with this as well. The Galileo system alerts are here. There are no system alerts, although we've just been updating everyone via the Galileo listserv for everything that's been going on the last few days post-launch. But if I go up to the top of the screen, just to kind of revisit some of the things that you see here, I mentioned the what's new, but I want to go into the support pages. I went to there briefly earlier, but just to go there again here. The support page is on the Galileo About page. As I mentioned that we have the FAQs. We've done thorough updating. I mentioned the example earlier about the Spotlight. Anything that we've done that's new, we have detailed FAQs, sometimes more than one on it. Mike has a good FAQ on how do I change the featured resources in the Spotlight area. I have a general what is the Spotlight area in Galileo that I wrote. So those are there and they're improved and they are much clearer and better, and the look and feel of them is much easier to read. Going back to the support page here, we also have a browse questions and then also most asked, and these prioritize based on use. A lot of people we've noticed already that a lot of people are updating their institutional resources. So the what does each of the fields in the GLRI record use is most commonly used right now. Also, Mike and I probably click on it 10 times a day, especially Mike. We also wanted to make sure that we accounted for, before someone went into the support transaction, we wanted to make sure, first of all, that they took a look at the FAQs, but they also wanted to, when someone needs research help, we want them to go to you all. You all have better resources, you know your resources better, you're able to help your specific users better, and we do get a lot of reference questions that we have to basically send back to libraries. So we wanted to take a minute to say, hey, before you do this, think about your librarian, do contact them. And we have a direct link to the list of all of the Galileo participating libraries here so that so if somebody hits this, they can find their library in a list easily. And finally, we've made 2 support forms now. So a lot of you will reach out to me. I've done staff development days and online training sessions for you all in the past, and I love doing that. And so that's one example for which you might use the contact customer relations form that we've added here. So if you have questions about marketing Galileo, or you want to offer us feedback or talk about licensing or training, any of those things that are not directly technical support related, you can use this form. If you ever have a question about which form to use, it doesn't matter. They all route to the same place. But if you have specific technical issues that you want to report to us or need to report to us, the contact support services form is the one that you will use. And we've updated our what are you contacting us about to include some new things that we've added. One of the other improvements we've made here is we have added the option to attach 3 attachments. In the past, you were only able to do 1 attachment. So that usually resulted in, if it was a serious problem with multiple screen captures, then it might be 2 or 3 screen captures that you needed to do. So you wind up having to email us anyway. So we're trying to give you more options when you submit a support form to get us the information that you need to share and that we need to diagnose the problem. So good credit to Mike and Ken for giving great feedback on that on the support side. So those are the major changes that we made in support, and we hope that they will improve the overall user experience as well. Finally, I want to show you the About Galileo options here. So I'm going to go back to the Galileo. This is just one little interesting thing that we did. This is a Galileo About Galileo page, so I have a different option for going back to the main page. So I'm going to go back here just to show you that in the footer, you'll see the About Galileo link. That is not as prominent in the main page as it used to be, but just wanted to point out here that we have things like just a general overview, our programs, Galileo Search, Affordable Learning Georgia, Digital Library Georgia, governance information for any of you who participate on RACL or the Galileo Steering Committee or any of our Galileo subcommittees. We have committee lists there so that you can review that or get the information you need about that. Joy and Jason Steele on our team did a great job on that. Information about our community. We haven't done a lot with the calendar yet, but we will going forward. And finally, the tools and training area, where we've added things like our marketing toolkit, our presentations and materials, statistics, which we haven't done significant changes to yet. Ken has done a great job of doing continuous improvement on the statistics page, and we will continue to do that. But the statistics page is basically what it is, but it's now located here in the tools and training area of the site. And finally, the training area, which now routes to this LibGuide. I mentioned earlier in the session that I'd done some short videos, logging in, Galileo Search, K-12 views, finding the right database, finding specific journals and magazines that are designed to help users the first time they are navigating in Galileo Search. Also, if you're seeking the wonderful videos that Ken did for us, they are still here. They're in the Galileo tutorials area. And there are also vendor tutorials, community tutorials. If you have a tutorial that you would like to share with us, we'd love to begin to add community tutorials, things that you've done that are specific to your institution. I think that would benefit the entire community to share those, even though they may be institution specific. It's sometimes great to have those types of things on a central site. Live online training, as we add new and different vendor options, I'll be updating that here. I'll be adding our recorded training here soon as I complete the sessions. And then we also have technical training for library staff. So if you're looking for the admin training I mentioned that Mike is offering, or Open Athens training, those resources are listed there on the training page. So that is a quick overview of the entire Galileo page and everything that we've done, everything that we've updated, everything that we've added here. Again, I think you'll find a lot of parallels to the existing page, or the previous page. It's no longer existing, and I hope that you'll find it better to use, better to navigate, and again, the idea of continuous improvement will inform us going forward.
Hey,
Mike, you may
Russell?
have questions. Yeah, go ahead. I was just about to
Yeah,
ask.
you may want to share your screen again real quick. There was a
Sure.
question about is there a way to see all the tags? And I think what was meant by that was the subjects and types, how to see all the types and subjects that are
Sure.
available.
Yep. So if I go to view all, it will give me a list of all the subjects. And that would include anything you add to your local resources. And the same with the types. If I view all types, I can navigate through all the types. There's only 2 screens of those. And if that didn't answer the question, I'm happy to dig in deeper. But
I had responded and mentioned that if you're managing your local resources, you can customize the subjects and types.
Exactly. Yep.
And then for for central resources, we have a defined subjects and types. But if you think that a central resource should be in a different type or subject, just submit that to us in a ticket, and we'll evaluate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, just another thing I would say to that as well is that, one of the things that was observed as we were showing the database search for the first time is one search that where we didn't find a lot was, I'll use this one as an example, was dental hygiene. But if you want to, and I probably spelled it wrong, quite frankly. Hygiene's a hard word to spell. Anyway, case, that's great. This is a great opportunity for if you have specific dental hygiene resources at your institution, then tagging them as such will get search results here. So again, the idea that you can improve your own local database records to have keywords and subjects that are specific for those resources locally is going to be very helpful with getting users to the right place.
Another question came in,
Sure.
Russell, from Beth Thornton. Is this the first in a series of big interface changes? I.e., is it safe for us to redo our Galileo video yet, or should we wait a bit?
I think it's fine to go ahead and start working on videos generally. I don't think that, I think we're like the first improvement that we know that we want to make, Beth, would be the addition of an A to Z list. I think we'll be doing iterative improvements. I do think that we were planning initial improvements and continuous releases, but I don't think they will change the look and feel of things significantly in a way that will interfere with new videos right now. Now, I would, we had originally planned, and I think we might still be doing a fairly substantial new release in July of 2021. But I don't think it would, again, change the look and feel of the main site enough. I think it might be more significant changes to things like the way search results look, for example. And just going along with that, again, not to go too far with this, but EBSCO is also continuing to work on, I don't have a release date, they haven't set a release date yet, for a new version of the EBSCO Discovery Service, which will obviously change the look and feel of Galileo since it's our central search. Although I know on the TCSG side, you all also use and probably primarily use in some ways the Primo search. So those are just a few things to expect, but I think you can be fairly safe in updating your videos for basic functionality now. And Mike, if you have things to add to that, I think that answers it. It's a tough question to answer, Beth, because we're planning on continuous releases, but I don't think there'll be things that throw such a loop at you that it would cause you to have to completely redo a video.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what the video would be. If it's showing you how the main search box works for EDS, that's going to change. But as far as featured resources and that sort of thing, I think it's safe to go ahead and create those.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think we're pretty invested in the graphics that we have and the interface changes that we've made. I think that there'll just be subtle changes over time to things like search, database lists, and things like that. And then eventually a fairly large change to search or two, but not for a while. To over-answer that question, we're a minute over, and I welcome others to stay if you still have questions. Mike, are there other questions that came through?
The only other question was, will this recording be sent out after
Absolutely.
the training?
Yep. Absolutely. And if you have follow-up questions, you all know where to find me via email, or you can send us a support ticket. Again, I appreciate everyone's attendance and time today, and
Uh,
we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Another
So,
question came
yeah,
in. Can guests access full database sets if they are on campus using a community computer or only the guest features?
that most of our resources, most Galileo resources, are licensed for walk-in use. Um, So that is, if you're using IP access, then short answer is yes for Galileo resources. Although you may have specific resources that you license that aren't licensed for guest use, in which case that's a local decision. That's a deep question that I can answer generally for Galileo resources, but I hope that helps. Any follow up on that? Sorry, I can pop back over to the chat. If we want to talk
No,
about that
I
offline,
was
we
just
can.
laughing at Carol said, I do see databases A to Z when I click on all databases. I thought you said you were working on that. That was fast. And
Oh
yeah,
no,
go ahead.
Well, what we're talking about, Carol, is we're not working on it that fast. Where you have a designated A to Z with A, B, C, D listed, and you can choose A from the list and see all the A databases and that type of thing. That's what we mean when we talk about that. Now, there is an A to Z list, but people specifically want that browsability by letter. And I get the need for that. So, for example, if I have a faculty member who says, "Oh, go look in JSTOR XYZ collection," and then I'm a student and I kind of forget exactly which collection that person says, and I'm looking for a memory trigger in an A to Z list, it's helpful to be able to see all those. I can go to J and then I see JSTOR listed. I get the need for that. Just there is power in browsing like that. So um, that's the best use case I have with that. But yeah, it'll be an improvement. There is, for all practical purposes, an A to Z list, but a true A to Z list with A B C D, you choose Z and you get all the Z databases. Most of you have no Z databases. I don't think even UGA has a Z database. All right. Well, thank you all so much for attending, and I will send out the recording. Again, I mentioned early next week in all likelihood, and if not sooner. But I appreciate you all. And again, as you have questions or comments, do let us know. There is a feedback button at the bottom of the screen on the new portal. So if you have specific feedback, send it to us that way or send it to us via support ticket. And we'll look forward to continuing to work with the Galileo community as we make improvements to Galileo Search going forward. Thank you all and have a great day.